Because at the time, I'm a teenager. So, and you're famous, you're on the cover of teen magazines and you're on television, you think you're indestructible. I remember thinking to myself, I'm never going to have to work another job in my life. I'm this. And, you kind of feel invincible. And then to have that all taken away and smacking my ego to the ground was the lesson that I needed. So then years later, once I kind of got it together and stopped having a pity party for myself, that's when I went back to school for music, and I got a new agent, and I found my mentor who mentored me in music. And then things started to turn around because I started, doing the legwork. And now I really attest, my work ethic, Hillary, I don't stop. And part of that goes back to being fortunate enough to go through that experience of achieving something and then losing it all, to come back to a place where now I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen again. And that was just one chapter in my life. Then I had a chapter after that where I met my mentor. We got signed to 3 different record deals, right? We went through 3 different record deals in a period of 3 years, only to, at the end of that 3-year period, to have it all crumble again. And because I was at that point, I was like, I don't want to be in another boy band after being in like 17 boy bands, signed multiple times. I just said, I remember being on the conference call, and at the time it was with Warner Brothers Records, and they were like, hey, you're each going to get a $25,000 advance. And at the time that was a lot of money to me. And I was like, you know what, guys, I don't think this is right for me at this point in my life. And I hung up the phone. I was like, what am I going to do now? I'm back on unemployment, not sure how I'm going to pay my bills. And I just went into a state of free fall, and I just kind of said, I just put it in fate into the universe and just said, hopefully this will pan out the way it does. It's supposed to. And I went back, I was waiting tables still, and, was just grinding whatever I could do to make money. Right. At one point I was interning at a studio, literally cleaning toilets just so I could pay bills and learn my craft. And as fate would have it, then, a couple months later, my mentor, a guy by the name of Rick Wake, who took me under his wing for the boy band, called me and said, hey, I found this CD of songs, on my desk. And there's some really great songs on here. He's like, you wrote these? And I was like, yeah. I said, I've been trying to tell you for 3 years that I love production and writing, but you always looked at me as kind of the boy band kid. And he's like, Damon, there's some great songs on here. He's like, you should come and work with me as a producer and a writer. And I was like, I don't know. I was there for 3 years. It didn't really pan out. And he's like, all right, I'll tell you what, let me run with these songs. He's like, I'll get back to you. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, I'm never going to hear back. And hang up the phone thinking that I'm never going to hear back again. And as fate would have it, a few weeks go by and I get a call from Rick, and he's like, hey, I got a couple of your songs placed. And I'm like, really? And at that time, I didn't understand the gravity of it. I didn't really understand what a song placement was or how much it could change your life, right? So he's like, yeah. He's like, do you know who Jennifer Lopez is? And I was like, yeah, of course. She wasn't huge yet, but she was just about to be J-Lo, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, she wants to do your song, Why'd You Lie to Me? And I'm like, okay, great. And he goes, there's another new artist named Anastasia from overseas who's about to blow up, who wants to do your song called Love Don't Cost a Thing. And I'm like, okay, this sounds great. And he's like, all right, I'm going to get back to you. Again, I hang up the phone thinking I'm never going to hear back. So then a few more weeks go by. I get a call from a friend of mine who's an intern at a label. And she's like, Damon, did you do a song for Jennifer Lopez? And I'm like, well, I think I did. And she's like, go to the newsstand right now, pick up R&R magazine and look at the back. And I'm like, okay. So I skirt over really fast to a newsstand. I pick it up. Sure enough, on the back, there's a picture of Jennifer Lopez. It says, Love Don't Cost a Thing. And my name is there. And I'm like, what is happening? So I call Rick, and he's like, yeah, bro. He's like, I didn't want to say anything. And he and I are very much alike like that. I don't like to jinx things, so I don't tell anybody until it manifests. But he's like, yeah. He goes, exchanged hands. Anastasia cut the other song. J-Lo cut this song. It went from her not wanting the song to making the record to now going to radio this week. And then when that connected,
Wow.
That ended up becoming a number 1 record for me. And as soon as it connected, my life completely changed. And I haven't looked back since. This is 20 years ago, and I have not looked back since.